daily tip number 2. Today we'll be looking at Revit Families, if you haven't guessed it yet. So first up are sort of the general types of families that we have in Revit. First up, we have system families. System families are the sort of the backbone of your model, right? They are your host families. They primarily live in your model, meaning they don't have a separate file that you can edit. So primarily these are your walls, roofs, floors, um, ceilings. Ducts and pipes are also, but if you're in architecture, you're probably not modeling those, hopefully. But sometimes you need them in renderings, and your MEP guys are not quite there yet. Then you have your loadable families. Loadable families have their own working file that's typically a .rfa, and you can edit those outside of a project, and you can load them into any project. So loadable families typically include things like windows, doors, casework, furniture, lighting fixtures, plumbing fixtures. Then there's also the sort of annotation families that are things like title blocks and symbols, target heads for levels, all of that fun stuff. And then you have in-place families. They are unique families that you can model within a project. These families do not exist outside of the project, so if it's something that you plan on using in other projects, I highly recommend making it a loadable family. In-place families should be saved for the very unique families that you need in a one-off scenario. Even if you're only using it in this project, if you will be placing it multiple times, that should, in best practice, also be a loadable family. So if we take a look inside of Revit, it's just a little quick sample model here, right? If I select my walls, these are my system families. And if I go into a door, this is a loadable family, which is really indicated by the fact that I have an edit family button. And then if I select this sort of chimney stack looking thing, right now it's pinned, so I'm gonna have to get rid of my pin selection and unpin it, right? One of the key giveaways that it isn't in place, it's all of these drag points. And then also you have an edit in place option. Now, in place versus loadable, hard to tell unless you have something like that that's very clear. Same thing with system and loadable, right? It all looks like components in the model, but it's good to know that there are some differences, right? So if I look at the families, some of the system families that we have are, there's, if I look in, let's see, mullions. So mullions, the ones that are in here anyways, are all system families, but they are made up of profiles, right? So if I look at this default profile, that's a system thing. And then you can see there's also some very specifically identified system mullion profiles. But if you have something like a C-shaped profile, that's something you can load in. And if I go down, just realized you guys couldn't see that. So if I go back for a minute, drag this up. So this is what we were looking at just now. And the profile here reads as default, which is a system profile. Then you also have these here, which are system mullion profiles. But something like this, right? The C-shaped profile. I close that and I go down to profiles, we'll see the C shapes profile and just that one loaded. Now, if I right click the main name, I can edit this outside of Revit project, which makes it a loadable family. So going back to the model, so that's one sort of atypical system family that looks like a loadable family. System panels down here, right? There's system panel. This is something that you cannot edit outside of the Revit project, but it can be loaded in. It's a weird one. And then if I keep going down, stairs are going to be another one. So stairs are technically system families, and similar to the mullions, they can be made up of multiple components. So if we were to look at an assembled stair, something like this, 7-inch max riser, and I look at the run type, right? I can load in a tread profile, can load in a nosing profile, and then, yeah, that's about it. Oh, riser profile is the other one. And then if you have stringers, right, you're going to have your support families. And these are also made up of profiles. So most of the system families that have loadable content are profiles that are loaded into it. The only one that might be different from that is the railings. So railing families are technically system families, and then you can load in, right? If I expand railing, there's this glass panel bottom. And if I go into the settings for this, go into baluster placement, there's a baluster family that can be loaded in. And if I go into rail, there's a profile that can load in. So again, it's system family that's made up of many loadable families. And that about wraps it up on families for now. Just meant to be a quick overview, but if you... Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. Got any questions? Head over to bimdad.com and let us know. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future content. See you in the next one.